everyone, this is Tricia and welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to show you how to create these no-sew curtain panels and these hanging wreaths. I got the idea from a picture from Pinterest, so let me show you what that looks like right now. Alright everyone, so let's get to crafting. Alright everyone, I've got all the supplies here that I'm going to need for my no-sew curtains and for my little hanging wreaths. And I have got some fabric here. And you'll have to measure your windows to figure out how much fabric you're going to need, and we'll talk about that in just a moment. We're going to be using this product called Heat and Bond. This is so we can iron on all our hems and we won't have to do any sewing. This one here that I have is 3/8 of an inch wide by 10 yards, and I can tell you this right now, the measurements that I'm going to be using for my curtain, I already know I need 2 packages of this. It's a 10-yard package, so I need the 20 yards. Well, I may not need all 20 yards, but just keep in mind that you're going to have to calculate how much of this you're going to need. So maybe one package will not be enough for yours. Okay, so for the Heat and Bond, I'm going to be using my iron here, and you're going to need an ironing board. I'm just using this one. This is what I used to do all my little crafts on my counter. But get your ironing board out for this. You're going to need all the space you can use. I'm going to be using this garland that I got from the Dollar Tree. It is a wired garland that I can shape. You can get the already shaped out wreaths and just add a little bit of garland to fill them up a little bit more. And or you can purchase them somewhere else if you want to get a different one, but just get some small ones. I'm also going to be using this ribbon. It's a 2.5 inch wide ribbon. Use whatever ribbon will coordinate with your little curtains or whatever your Christmas decor is. And this is, I think I mentioned 2.5 inch wide. You can use a one that's less than that. You can, maybe 1.5 inches or 2 inches wide will be fine. And we won't need very much of that. We'll talk about that in a moment. Okay, so for the hanging wreaths, I'm going to be using this Velcro. It's just a scrap of Velcro. You don't need very much. Just keep in mind that you need whatever your width of your ribbon. Just double that up, and that's how much you need. So I know that this piece here is more than enough to use for my hanging wreaths. So we got some Velcro. You may opt to not even have to use any Velcro at all and just hot glue everything. So I've got my hot glue gun ready with some hot glue sticks. I am going to be needing this pencil that I can write on fabric. You don't really need it. You can pin everything to mark things, but I'll just show you why I'm using that. This is completely optional. I've got some extra little pine here, little sprigs that I can take off, and if I want to decorate my little wreaths anymore, you can do that. Okay, I think I've explained all the materials. I am also going to be using some scissors and my measuring tape. So let's get to crafting. Alright everyone, before I start giving the instructions on how to make the curtain, let me just say, please excuse me. I'm a little bit, I don't know if I'm just tired. I don't think I'm getting sick. I think I'm just tired. I had a very busy day. I was running around, and it's already late in the evening when I'm making this video. So I'm a little bit, my voice is a little bit raspy, maybe. I don't know how you're hearing me. I hope that I sound okay to you. Also, if you don't need to make a curtain and you already have an existing curtain that you want to use that you can have completely open, as in the picture, so that you can hang the wreaths in the middle from the curtain rod, then you can just skip these instructions and skip over right over to the wreath instructions, which are super easy. Alright, that being said, because the panels are completely open and I don't worry about a curtain in front of my window. I only have a valance right now. This is my kitchen window. I like all that sunlight to go through. I already have blinds there that I can close for privacy. So this is going to be a curtain that you're going to create if you want the look that I showed you in the picture, and you don't need to close it because we're not going to worry about the width of the window. If you want to worry about the width of your window and eventually close your curtains at some point, you're going to remove the wreaths and you want to keep the curtains, then by all means consider the width for your curtain panels, and make sure that the fabric is, once, you know, because normally it comes folded, once it's open, that it is wide enough that it is wider than half of your window. Okay, you want it to be at least a little bit wider, or at least 1.5 times wider, so that then you make 2 panels. Okay, that being said, we're going to worry about the length, which is what I'm going to think about. So I decided that I want my curtain to be 60 inches long. So you're going to measure your window. You're going to decide how much higher up, you know, wherever your rod is up at the top, and how much longer you want it to be from your window. So you need to decide how long do you want that curtain to be. Now at the bottom, let's say, we're going to go with my measurement. Let's say 60 inches. I'm going to need an extra 1.5 inches for a hem at the bottom. Okay, so instead of 60, that makes it 61.5. And I'm going to want 12 inches at the top to make a 6-inch casing. Excuse me. So that's already, let's see, let me add that correctly. That's 73.5 inches. Okay, so we need at least 73.5 inches for one panel. So what I did is I bought a double so that I can make 2 panels. Okay, so whatever your measurement is, if it's 80, you're going to add the 12 and then the 1.5, so that's 13.5 inches up to 14 inches of fabric to the length, and then double that up for your 2 panels. Okay, so I have this fabric here, and it's a gingham fabric. The first thing I did was to iron it up because it was I wanted to get rid of this where they folded it in half. It gets a crease, so I wanted to get rid of that crease because it being a striped, it's plaids, but it's like stripes if you think about it. If I follow this red right here, it is a stripe. Let me push this over, and I had to get rid of that center fold so that you wouldn't see it. You know, your curtain can be nice, but at the same time you're going to need it because you're going to want to align your stripes on the ends and make sure that they are nice and straight, because when this was cut, this was all crooked. Okay, there was, if you can see here, the red here, this white over here, some parts was way up here that it even went into the red, and some parts it was halfway into the white. It was just, I don't know why, it was just cut really badly on one side. And then when she cut it at the store, when she was cutting it for me, she also aligned it, and it wasn't even straight, so she cut it crooked. So that was the first thing I had to do, was iron it out and then make sure that I trimmed off my edges, these cut edges, so that everything is nice and straight, especially if you have a pattern, stripes like these, gingham, checkers, whatever you want to call it. And then I did the same thing on the other end. And it's very important that you iron out that crease, because when you're trying to fold it in half to align everything, somehow that crease keeps making the fabric want to just go back to where it was. And we don't want it to be all crooked. We want it to be nice and straight. So I've already done that, and then I've already trimmed it, okay? So what we're going to worry about first is this is the whole length of my curtain, by the way, right now. This fabric is going to be 1 panel, okay? I've already done one of my panels to make sure. Excuse me, that fell to the floor. I've already done one of my panels, and I have it right here to make sure that it turned out the way that I wanted it to, and it came out really nice. I'm very happy with the way that heat and bond, this product, worked. So I'm going to go ahead now and show you how easy it is to do this without having to sew it. Now, you can follow all the instructions and sew it instead of doing any of this heat and bond. Okay, let me get my curtain that fell to the floor so we can start doing the sides on it first. Okay, so I've got this here, and I'm just gonna remove, I'm actually gonna use this little piece here, and then I'll use this other over here. So let's put that to the side. And we want to take it, this is the length going up and down, but we want to take these edges on the sides, these raw edges, these factory edges, which is not going to fray. They're nicely sealed. We're just going to fold them over, and then we're going to iron that down first so we can get a nice straight marked crease and a fold. Okay, so we're going to iron that down first, which I've already done on this other side. Put it up here so that you can see. I've already folded it and I've ironed it. So now I want to seal it. So we're going to start at one end. I'm going to put this right here where you can see. All right, so now that I've got it ironed down, it's going to be really nice and easy to put this bonding, this heat and bond in there. So you're just going to open it up and put that right in there, and just make sure that when you fold this back down that it is completely under it. And then you have to slide it in a little bit more. What you could also do is you could put it on the edge here and then fold it down so you know that it's on there. Now I'm going to keep it on the roll. I'm not going to be cutting it, but if it's easier for you, you can cut little bits, just like that little cut bit. And then you're just going to put your iron over it. And you're not going to move your iron around. You're not going to do this. You're just going to put it over it. 1, 2, 3, and that's enough. Now, this should all be bonded, but don't lift it up. Let it cool off, okay? Let it cool off so it'll dry and stay bonded, because if you try to pull it off, you're just gonna, the glue is melty and it's just gonna come apart. Okay, so we're gonna continue. Okay, so now I'm gonna put the bonding on the rest of it and just continue on. You can cut off little pieces at a time if you feel more comfortable. 1, 2, 3. And then I'm just gonna move it over. And I'm going to do a little bit at a time because I have a small little board. Now, I am saying to use your ironing board so that you can go ahead and put this all in there along the length of your ironing board. And you don't have to stop every time you have to move the fabric like I'm doing. Okay. I think I missed that little spot right there. Okay, so before I go on, this part is already cooled off, so it no longer opens up. It's sealed, okay? So I'm going to continue on the whole length of that side, and then I'm going to do this other side. Now remember, which is the right side and which is the wrong side of your fabric, so that you fold into the wrong side of the fabric, okay? I folded it into the wrong side of the fabric, and you want to do the same thing on the other side. So just keep that in mind before you continue. All right, I'll be back once I've got both sides done. All right, everyone, I've gone ahead and I've ironed down both sides with the heat and bond. And now they are now nice and sealed on both sides of my curtain panel. Now you can go ahead and follow the same instructions, you know, ironing it down and creasing it and then just sewing along instead of using the heat and bond. Okay, this is a great item to use if you don't have a sewing machine and you can't afford to go out and purchase one. Use the heat and bond, because obviously that's going to be a little bit of less of a cost. It is not an inexpensive item, and like I said, you might have to get more than just 1 or 2 rolls, okay, depending on how long your curtains are. But I suggest that you use that for a small project, not for something like really long curtains. Okay, anyway, let's continue on. So now we're going to do the hem of our curtain, which is now working at the bottom of it, and I've folded it about 1/2 inch in, and I have ironed it, and I've already done that all the way down the bottom of my curtain. And then I came back and then I folded it 1 inch, and then I've ironed that as well, and of course I've done that all the way down the whole length of the bottom of the curtain. Okay, so now with this, and the reason that I am making a fold here, I didn't make one over here because, like I said, this is a factory edge and it is not going to fray on you, but once it's been cut, it could fray on you, and you don't want a curtain, you don't want to just fold it once and iron it down or sew it down, and then you have these little threads, you know, coming out of the back. So you want to enclose those, so that's why we do a little 1/2 inch, or you could do a 1/4 inch fold. You don't have to do a 1/2 inch. And then 1 inch more, and that enclose that little frayed edge or cut edge in there, and you won't have to worry about little threads. Okay, so now we're going to go ahead and put this heat and bond, and we're going to want to put it as close to the edge again as possible, and we're going to do a section at a time. Put that on there and just make sure it is in there. Okay. One, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Now because you have a folded fabric, and hopefully your fabric is not too thick, because you might not get the heat to go through the layers properly, so you might have to turn it over and iron it from the other side. So what I'm going to do is, after I've done my whole edge, my whole hem with a heat and bond, I'm going to turn my curtain around and then iron it from the other side. And just gently, just press down, hold a couple of seconds, let it go, and then let it all cool off. And this should be nice and bonded. It's already bonded, so it's working really well. So I'm going to continue on. Let's see, I left off right about here. So I'm going to align this. And always make sure it's nice and flat before you continue with ironing. So make sure you don't get any little creases or little puckers or pleats. Now, while you're doing this, let's say you're getting close to where you're ironing over here, this might pull out. That's fine. Because just like I started it with a little scrap piece, I can just watch where I last finished, which was right here, and then just start up right there with that end. Now I'm going to use what I have had left over from the other roll when I did the other panel. So I'm going to use this piece up, and I had already used it on the sides here. Okay. Alright everyone, I'm going to continue till I'm done with the whole length of my hem, and I shall be back when that is all nicely bounded, and then we do the top of the curtain, which will be the casing. Okay, so at the top, to make our casing, we're going to fold over 6 inches like so, and we're going to do it all the way down, and then of course we're going to iron it, so we can go ahead and mark that fold. And once we've marked the 6 inches of the fabric folded down all the way down the top edge, then we're going to open it back up, and then the very top edge, we're going to fold it over 1/2 inch, iron that down to mark that crease or that fold, and then we're going to do it all the way down to the end. Okay, once that is all done, let me bring it up so it doesn't slide off the table. Okay, now so we have that little 1/2 inch folded up, and we know where our 6 inch mark is because we've ironed that and made a nice iron fold. Now we know where this is going to meet up down here. But before we go ahead and seal this, we need to make a casing where our rod's going to go. So we can't put this bond right here and seal this because we need another area that's also going to be sealed. So we need to seal that off first and then seal this one. If we were to seal this end first, then we can't get in there to seal this other area where the casing is going to be. So we need to decide where that casing is going to go, and I'm going to go according to the first panel that I've already done, and I have that right here. Okay, there we go. I left it a little bit open so I could look inside. Okay, so I know that the first bonding was going to be right about right here, so I'm going to measure up about 1/2 inch. By the way, once I have folded this 1/2 inch here, then I've only got 5.5 inches to work with. So I'm going to measure up 1/2 inch because that's where this bonding is going to go, right in there. Gives me enough room to put that in there. And I want 2 inches of space for my rod. That's big enough so that my rod can fit in here. So let me get the rod, half of it at least. Well, here. I want this to have a casing that has 2 inches of space, because I know that's enough for my rod to fit in. Okay? So if you have a big rod, then you're going to have to measure enough space for a casing for that rod. So then I suggest buying even more length of fabric, because you might want that little ruffle in the top. If you don't care for the little ruffle at the top, then don't worry. You can just seal it right here, and then you've got all this space here for a big old rod if you happen to have that. Okay, but we're doing it so that we have a little bit of space up at the top, so that when we gather it, it has like a little ruffle up here, and the rod is actually going through here. Okay, I don't even know if that was in camera. Yeah, it was. Okay, let's go ahead and do that, since I know that 1/2 inch right here is where this seal is going to go. I'm going to move up 2.5. So from the 1/2 inch up to 2.5 inches right there. So then I'm going to want to mark it with a pen, or I'm going to get that, when I mentioned the pencil, I can use a pencil to measure. So I'm going to open this up. Well, hold on. That's before I do that. 1/2 inch, 2.5 inches. Let me go ahead and make a little mark here. This is a pencil that can then be brushed off. It's got a little brush on the other end where I can brush off the color, or actually after a while it just comes right off. So okay, so now that I've marked the 2.5 inches, I'm going to measure up here, and I know that I have 3 inches left. So because I folded it 1/2 inch from the 6 inches, it left me 5.5. I need 2.5, so that leaves me 3 inches. So when I open it up like this, I'm going to keep in mind where that little crease is. And from that crease, you're going to mark down 3 inches. Or if you want to pin it, you can pin it. And that is going to tell you that that is where, and now when you make that little mark, not on this side of it, but on this side of it, that is where your bond is going to go. Okay? So you want it, now I'm lucky enough that I have these little stripes to kind of help me, you know, guide me where it's going to go. So if you happen to have some stripes, you can use that as your guide. So I'm going to go ahead and just go eyeball it right here. I'm going to be on this side towards the end. Put my bond right there, and then just carefully fold this one over so nothing moves. Right there. And then just peekaboo underneath. And I can go ahead and iron that down. Okay. Okay, and that's that. So I'm going to go ahead and do that all the way down. And then I'm going to come back, and then I'm going to put the bonding right where this edge is, right here. Put that down, and then iron that down. So then all of it is now going to be ironed, and I can have a nice little casing right here, a little opening where I can slide the rod in through. And this top part can just be nice and loose and be a nice little ruffle. Okay, I'm going to be back once all of that is done. Alright everyone, I have gone ahead and I've already finished. I just checked the other one here, and to make sure that everything was sealed, because like I told you, make sure that everything cools off before you try to pull on it and see if it did adhere. Let it all cool off, but then after you've done all that, you want to go back and look at everything and make sure that it did seal well. If it didn't, just put the iron on it like a couple of seconds, like I said, and then just seal it. Okay, so these are both complete. Now, like I said, you could sew this instead of using the heat and bond. Another thing is that maybe some of you might have a question and ask, could I use some fabric glue? You could use a fabric glue if it's going to let this be flexible. Now, down the sides and at the bottom hem, you don't have to worry about it too much, but at the top you will, because you're going to put it through the rod, and then you're going to want to gather it up, you know, to push it to the sides of the window. So you want the glue to be nice and flexible. I probably wouldn't use a hot glue gun. I might be tempted to use it down the sides and maybe even at the bottom if you wanted to save yourself using the heat and bond, which is a little more expensive, and you happen to have plenty of hot glue, then you can use that. But I probably just maybe tempted to use it on the sides and the bottom, like I was saying, but not the top, because like I said, you don't want it to be stiff, and a glue gun will be a thick piece, strip of glue, and if you did it too thin, it might not bond well, and it gets cold really quickly, and it might not bond well. So I think that at the top, where it's going to gather, you definitely want to use an iron-on type of bonding material. Okay, with that said, my 2 curtains are complete. I am going to go now to do the wreaths, and then I'm going to hang this up here in my craft room so that you can see how it's going to look. This is actually going to go into my kitchen, but I need my husband to install my new rod, and it's already late in the evening, so I'm going to just hang it up over my chalkboard, do a little rigging, and just hang it there so that you can see what it looks like in the final stage. Okay, let's get to the wreath part. Okay, so for my wreaths, I'm first going to decide how long I want my ribbon to hang down onto my window. It's not going to be in the middle where it hangs, because I do have some items in front of it I want to be able to look out. So it's only going to hang down 18 inches. So I'm going to double that up, plus I'm going to go ahead and give it an extra inch, and I think that should be enough for, yep, an inch for where it overlaps over the other end. Okay, just an extra inch on one of these ends. So I'm just going to make sure that this end is nice and straight first. Okay. Okay. And then I'm going to give it let's just hold this nice here. I'm going to give it that extra inch. I'm actually going to use that pencil that I used for the curtain. You could just eyeball it, or you could even hold the Velcro strips in there and then just cut a little bit over the amount, that you need for the Velcro to be inside of that space. Okay, since I've already cut this one, I'm just going to cut one more, because I'm going to hang 2 little wreaths, and I could do them at different levels, but I'm going to try and get them both at the same level. So I'm just going to cut the 2 pieces of ribbon the same. So that would be 37 inches for me. That's what I'm cutting. 2 37-inch pieces of ribbon. And the way that I'm going to do this so that I can remove them easily, put them on, I could hot glue the ends and make once I've created the wreath, put it through the wreath, and then just hot glue the ends, and then just slide it into the curtain rod, and then put the curtains in on each side of them. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a Velcro. So just in case my cat or some other situation arises that maybe the wreaths are going to be in my way, I'm going to want them to be easy to remove. And I actually just cut into it a little bit there, into my ribbon. So just be careful when you do that. They don't do that. I'm not going to worry about it, because I'm just going to put this one to go over like so. Okay, so now that I've got it like that, I'm going to open these up, and this is where I'm going to use my hot glue gun, and I'm just going to put glue on the Velcro strip and glue that down. And then on this one, I'm going to do it on the inside. Got the other piece here. Okay. Put that in there. And then when I turn it around, I'm not gonna Velcro them together right now, because I want to make sure that they dry, because I don't want to accidentally pull and then it just pulls them off, and then I have to just glue them again. So to avoid that problem, oops, I'm just going to leave them like that, let them dry nice, and then I'm going to do the same with this other one here. So I want to do it on this end, and this right try to cut it without cutting into the ribbon. There we go. It doesn't matter if it's just a little short of the width. That way it won't show it all. Okay. And I want to do the same way. This is the one that I put on the right side. The little plasticky teeth part. So far, easy peasy. Nothing hard about this. And then on the opposite, on the inside part, I'm going to put this one, the fuzzy side. Okay, there we go. Okay, now these two pieces of ribbon are ready. Just going to leave them alone off to the side. We're going to create a wreath. Now I happen to have one that was already open, and then I had a little bit of scrap from last year or the year before. I don't even know when that was from. But I'm going to use this one to create one of my wreaths. So I'm just going to get it from being all tangled up with itself, because I need to decide what size I want it to be. So, wow, this is interesting. I'm going to get, okay, there we go. Just undo it some way. This is why it's better to find a little wreath already made, but I couldn't find any more. Getting sold out, so we got to figure out ways. You could use a hanger, also a wire hanger, make it into a little circle, and snip off the little hanger part with some good wire cutters, and then wrap it around with some garland. Okay. I don't use wire hangers and I don't know where to find them anymore. Okay, let's see. I'm about a 14-inch diameter. I just put my ruler away. Okay, so let me get this here. And it's not going to be perfectly round. 14-inch diameters right here. I think that's too big. I'm going to go with maybe 12. Yeah, I think I'm going to go with 12. So I'm going to kind of more or less eyeball it. That's about 12 inches. So I'm going to get this end and wrap it around to make sure that stays. Let's see. I've got this other leftover piece over here. So let's go ahead, and I was going to untangle it, but then it occurred to me after I was attempting to do that I'm just going to kind of, you know, wrap it around itself. So I'm going to take this. I mean, you could just do a bunch of circles and that's fine, and just wire it here and there. But I'm going to actually just kind of like wrap it ever so often. Till I get to the other. Here we go. Give it a little tighter. One more wrap. Till I get to the other end. That's pretty. See, you can see there? That's a nice full little wreath. I'm going to go one more time and do 3 layers. There we go. Just keep wrapping it. Okay, so whatever I'm doing here, I'm just going to repeat it with the other one. I just want to hold it up against it to use it as my measurement guide. Look at that. That looks a lot fuller. You could tell right here this little difference in this little spot that it's not as full. But you also want to make sure that you're pulling it tight as you're wrapping it around, because then you'll get like some gaps. So make sure you pull it tight. I think you can go one more. And this is where it basically ends. So I should have said you're going to need wire cutters. I know that a lot of people use their scissors to cut into wire, and that's fine if you're okay with that. You have craft scissors that you use for that. I don't want to mess up mine, so I like to use a wire cutter. So I'm going to take that end and then just wrap it around. Look at that. And just make sure that you fluff it up a little bit. Round it up as best as you can. Okay, so whatever I did here, I'm going to repeat it with the other, and I have more garland here to work with. So I'm going to get my ribbon. And now this ribbon, excuse me, my throat. Been quiet this whole time. And now I'm tucking, and I have a little fan, and it's drying it up. So now I can put this through here, and then put it through the over the curtain rod, and then just Velcro it. And there we go. And it's easy to remove, and you can use the same idea to hang it anywhere else. Well, goodness gracious, kitty cat, you always want something. He always wants something. Okay, now this is completely optional. I have these little sprays, and if you want to take something like this and then just remove the little branches and then add in, my goodness, or maybe some berries, you can do that. Just add a little text, you know, something different to it, a little extra texture to it. I think it kind of looks fine just like that. I like the simplicity of it. I think that's kind of the way that it looks in the picture. So I'm going to leave it like that and save this for another project. All right, everyone, I'm going to go ahead and create my second wreath. I'm going to hang them up on my rod because I've already got my little curtains hanging on there. I did a little window on my chalkboard, so you'll see what I did. All right, everyone, I have completed my project. I've got the two hanging wreaths here. I even made myself a cute little window scene back here. This is all going to go in my kitchen. I think it's going to look really pretty. I don't think I need to decorate them any further. If you feel like you want to do that, you can even put some little lights on them. Hide the cord to the back here. Maybe make 3 of them, just make them a little bit smaller. Maybe put one up here. Or if your window's a little bit small, maybe just make one wreath. That'll look really pretty. You can pretty much hang anything off these ribbons if you have a different idea. Okay, so if you see anything, like I just saw this look, this window look on Pinterest as I showed you at the beginning, and I decided that I wanted to recreate it. If you see something like that, but you're not sure how to do it, you can send me the picture through my Gmail, fodtricia@gmail.com. It is in the description box below. I also have a P.O. box where you can send pictures there also, or you can send cards if you wish. I also have my Facebook, Tricia's Creations. I know some of you are following me. I would really appreciate that if you did follow me there. And you can also send me through the messaging system that it has there, Messenger. You can also send me a picture through there. But you can also post your pictures on that page. I've left it so that you can post your projects and share that with everyone else if you wish to do so. All right, everyone. I'm tired, but I'm really, really super happy with my project. I think it's going to look really great on my actual kitchen window. I'm going to give myself a big old thumbs up, and I hope that you too will give me a big old thumbs up. Leave a nice comment down below and let me know what you think. It's going to look great for my grandson, his first Christmas. He's coming to visit, even though he doesn't know what's going on. I just wanted to do a little extra decorating for him. But anyhow, let me know what you think. Subscribe, and thank you to everyone who's been subscribing. You've touched my heart, and I love all the really nice, encouraging comments that you all have been leaving. Thank you all very much, and share on your social medias and hit that notification bell because I do put up videos every Tuesday and every Friday, and once in a while I have a weekend vlog. My voice is going, everybody. So just make sure you enjoy.